Hi, I'm Kelly. As a life coach, I've noticed that the work I do with people isn't about their relationships or their jobs. It isn't about their kids or even how to find a way to get all the laundry done. All the work we do together centers around finding the answer to one simple question. What does it mean to live a fulfilled life? Join me as I explore this question and more in conversation with others in the Fulfilling Life interviews with me, Kelly Dahl, as your host. Hello, it's Kelly, and I'm here today with Carolan Deacon, who is a beautiful friend, and I'm thrilled to talk with her today about what it means to her to live a fulfilling life. So first, Carolan, thank you so much for being here on the Fulfilling Life today.
Thank you for having me, Kelly. It's an honor, and I'm looking forward to talking with you today.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm so glad to have you here. I would love for you to start by sharing with everybody a little bit about who you are and the beautiful, beautiful work that you do.
Thank you. Well, I am a person who has dealt with a lot of natural ways to overcome anxiety, and that's pretty much what my work is revolving around now. I'm taking it a step further to help women ease anxiety and live more richer, vibrant lives, primarily through music and other healing arts. I am a singer and a songwriter, as well as a holistic health practitioner and teacher. I don't actually practice anymore, I teach it. So I do this through a couple of ways. I do live concerts and retreats and take each listener through a healing process. I also have an online program and community, which is called Ease and Grace Circle, and that is around layering each month with goodness, rich, nurturing tools that women can use anytime, anywhere to shift old thinking patterns, balance out hormones, and generally just live freer lives. And that's probably more than you asked for, but that's what I do.
No, it's beautiful, and I love one thing that I love about your group is I feel like the name of it, the Ease and Grace Circle, just really embodies your work so well. The music that I've heard that you share with the world, and just your outlook on the world is just full of ease and grace, and sharing that with other women and teaching other women to be that way. It's just, I feel like it's the whole package, and you've packaged it just so beautifully.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. So as you know, today we're talking about fulfillment, and you've already hinted to some of the things that bring you fulfillment, but I would love to hear first from you, Carolan. What does it mean to you to live a fulfilling life?
It took me many, many years to get that. And I can tell you honestly now, what it means to me to live a fulfilled life is to know that I am living with present moment awareness and aligning my passions and my gifts in a way that serves profoundly. That's been key for me, because I've tried lots of different things, and I've gone through a lot, as most of us have, in my past, and overcome some personal issues, and there was still something missing. And I realized what it was. It was using my gifts not just to fill me up, but in a way that serves others profoundly. And the good part is it's a creative expression as well. I mean, music is everything to me, and it's a gift, and it's something that I can share. And I think if you talk to any other performer, they'll tell you the same thing. So that's probably been key. And I have a little girl. I can't not mention her because she fulfills me in ways that I never even dreamed of. So for my particular case, I think it's just having everything in alignment in a beautiful way, and it's possible for everyone. It truly is. It truly is.
Yeah, and I love what you've shared about the sharing process of it too, and the serving process of it, to take our gifts and our passions and our talents and that it brings such a greater level of fulfillment and feeling of fulfillment when you're sharing that with others, and then to share it in a purposeful way and in a healing way as you do, in a helpful way to lift others up, really brings it.
Exactly. And as you know, I know you have two precious little ones. As a mom, I think it would be very hard for me to sustain what I do without the big piece of meaning. You know, it has to have meaning. It has to be able to help people. I see the response that I get when I perform, and the feedback I get, and there's energy being moved. There's old repressed angers and resentments being released, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And that's it for me. I mean, and I've done other things in the past, you know, travel with bands and things like that, and sang other people's songs and the late nights, and that's just not what I want. And I wish I could say it more articulately than I am right now, but I'll get there.
Well, I think kids bring a perspective to your life. Because you're seeing the world through 2 more eyes or 4 more eyes or however many children you have, that it's not, and partnership too. I feel that way about my husband as well, that it's not just me in this game. And when you can experience that, you know, it's not even just your family, it's the whole, it's your community, it's the whole world, and how how your fulfillment affects other people.
And doesn't it though?
It does.
It's like the understatement of the decade.
It's huge. You know, that's a big piece that I preach for moms, especially. You know, when we are fulfilled as mothers, we can help our children and be there for our children in such different ways.
Absolutely. And I believe that you can have everything that you truly desire. There's a reason that desire is in your heart, and I want to share that and get that out there, because I think so many times, and I've done this, we sell ourselves short, we limit ourselves, we stay inside a box, and we suffer because of it. Yeah. We're not meant to play small, you know.
Yes.
And that looks different for everybody.
Right. And it might look different than you think it's going to look, too.
You got that right.
So what are some of the things that you do, Carolan, to keep yourself feeling fulfilled on a fairly regular basis? We don't have perfect days every day, right? But what are some of the practices that you have in your life that keep you moving towards a fulfilling feeling?
A couple of things that I do every day, and that's setting an intention before I get out of bed each morning. I actually have a song around that called Intend to help you remember to do it. And I set specific intentions while I'm still laying there before I start moving. And that sets kind of like a blueprint in motion on my behalf. And it makes things go smoother. And I've compared the difference on days when I remember to do it and when I don't. And it's a big difference. So that's one practice in the morning. In the evening, I have a gratitude buddy, a fabulous idea that I got from Andrea Scher. And I'll exchange 3 things that actually happened that day that I'm grateful for with her in the evening. Mm-hmm. And that's made, that too, it's almost magic. It creates shifts without you having to work so hard at it. So I move my body every day. I make sure I get some daily exercise, and I make sure I support myself with the right music, depending on what I'm dealing with for that day. The right song, the right tempo, everything, the lyrics. Those are just a few practices. And having a little time just to kind of nurture myself. I let that slide for some time, and I knew better, but I did it anyway. And it's just something simple, like taking the time after I dropped my daughter at preschool, just to take some organic eggs and make a little scrambled egg with maybe a little grated herbs in it, and then a little bit of zucchini bread or a raspberry muffin, something simple just for me. And I encourage women to do that. It's a small thing, but it sets you up for the day. You're worth it, and we need this.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be complicated, and I think one thing that I love how you didn't hesitate. You know these sort of frameworks that keep your days running well. And even if you stumble and forget to set your intention for the day, you always have the next day to come back to it. Or you can pick it up at noon if you need to. You know, when you know those things that help you, when you get off track a little bit, it's so much easier to come back and get back to those things that you know work.
Exactly.
So as you're going through your days, what are some of the things that get you off that track and maybe have you forgetting to take care of yourself or act as obstacles?
The biggest thing that can keep me off track and derail me is when I start to cave to the voices in the head, the thoughts that we all have that continuously circle around, that little voice that chatters, you know, you're not good enough, or this isn't going to work out, or I have to consciously separate myself from that. Mm-hmm. There's a great book, a couple of them, but that teach you how to do that. One's called The Untethered Soul. But I just have to sit back and realize I'm not my thoughts. I'm not that voice in my head, and physically visualize a physical separation between me, the spirit, and the ego, the thoughts that constantly swirl around, because that's the biggest thing. If I keep that in check, everything else is gravy. Do I forget it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like having an old monkey on your back that's traveled for a long time that you just kind of have to keep addressing and keep separating, but it gets easier. Yeah. So that's the biggest thing. When I don't pay attention and separate myself at the beginning, I can get derailed really quick. That technical issue, because I'm not technical. If my schedule, something totally derails it and I have to kind of revamp the expectations around it, things like that. If my head's straight, everything else goes too.
Yeah, and I that's great, because you mentioned a technical snafu or something that can derail you, but what sets me back worse is if something like that happens and then I start, oh, you're not smart enough at this stuff, you can't manage it all, you're never going to get this fixed, all these terrible things are going to happen, and that's not the technical snafu, that's my little brain running off in its craziness, which is a bigger sabotage than anything else.
It really is. And I've noticed too with my daughter, you know, I was really surprised at how it was not it was really an effort for me to sit down and play for any length of time. And I'm not talking an hour, I'm talking like 10 minutes without me trying to find a reason to bolt. Mm-hmm. And the other piece that I wanted to mention is that constant, that's one of my dogs, constant practice of being in the moment, because that's something, and if you deal with any kind of anxiety or depression, that usually is the first thing to hit the road. You lose it. You stay in your head, and everything takes on a gray color. You know, when you stay in the present moment, you really open yourself up to a vortex of creative brilliance and joy that creates profound shifts in every other aspect of your life. And having a little one has really helped me do that in ways that I never realized. And I don't think I would have to.
Yeah, yeah.
So in a way, it's been the biggest challenge, and it's also been the biggest.
Yeah, that staying present with your kids is an incredibly hard practice, but an incredibly rewarding practice. And it's the same thing that I experience during meditation too, like staying present when I'm sitting in meditation. And, you know, life is still happening around me and thoughts will come, but I'm learning to let those go, to let those things go, because those thoughts will be there. Or another thought, like if I get this brilliant idea while meditating, I get scared that it will never come back, but it will come back, or something else will come back, which I think is similar. I mean, it's the same thing I experience playing with my kids. I've written a lot about how I suck at playing, like sitting and playing whatever it is, it doesn't matter, for 10 minutes is challenging, because I hear all these other things trying to pull me away, but they're always going to be there.
Right.
And that moment is not.
Exactly. I feel so blessed that I would hear that from you and other moms, you know, as a little reminder early on, so I didn't let the little years slip by.
Yeah. They do go fast, don't they?
Like I blink.
So what helps you stay in the moment, and what helps you get past those obstacles when they do come up? Because I know that they do over and over again, right?
They do. What helps me, I'm not sure this is, what helps me is I notice I can shift into presence a lot easier if I start with a little music playing in the backdrop, and I notice that helps her too. Because if she's been trying to get my attention for a little while, like, which in her is probably 5 minutes, but it's a big deal for her, she's a little agitating. And I'm got to finish something, or if I can break away from it, I like to use a little music for both of us. The other things that helps me to stay in the present is just to try to block everything else out visually and sit there with her and look at her and watch her and smell her and hear her. And it's almost like time travel. I'll go back to when I was a little girl, and it's a good place to be. It's a good place to be. So as a tool, I would say the music helps make it a little easier.
Yeah.
But then once I'm there, it's just that eye contact and the senses, the touch, the smell.
And it makes me think that it's almost like a gift to your younger self, too. That, and it's something I have experienced, too, that through parenting our children, we can heal some of our wounds from childhood and pay attention to what we needed and maybe we received so that we can then give it to our children, or notice what we didn't receive that we were asking for, so then we can make sure that we're giving that. And just listening to what they need from them, because they are their own people and their needs are not mine.
Exactly. Isn't that the truth? I've noticed that with my girl. She is she's her own person. She's like me in some ways, but not a lot. And the only thing she does love a microphone. Biggest thing. She asked in preschool. She started preschool Monday, and she said her two questions were, "Do they have books?" Yes. "Do they have a stage, Mommy?" And I just thought, there you go. Beyond that, she's a detail person, and I tend to not be. She's a little more careful than I am. And but yeah, with the present moment with her, it's like when I haven't listened to my intuition saying, take this moment, sit down, give it 20 minutes with Legos or strawberry sugar or whatever, and you won't regret it. When I haven't listened to that, and I think, okay, if I can just get this email prompt sent out or get this done and check it off my list, then I'll feel better. But there's always something. There's always something. And when I have had the discipline to shift away, which is what I try to do now, everything else in my business, in my relationships, in my perception is improved by just spending 20 minutes absorbed in something.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's kind of like meditation.
Yeah, no, and there's so many similarities in my own study of Zen Buddhism and practicing meditation. Children embody that because they are in the moment. And so letting them teach us how to be in the moment in everyday life just opens up so much. Yeah. So much. Well, Carolan, this has been wonderful to talk with you about what it means to live a fulfilling life. Your insights are so rich and very real. And it's just always a joy to speak with you. So thank you for being here. Can you remind everybody about your work and any last thoughts that you have for the viewers today?
Learn yourself. My urging for the day would be to learn yourself. Learn what supports you and helps make you tick. Use the tools that are available to you. And keep it simple. And just don't settle for not feeling so great. I see so many women that just get by. And that used to be me. They survive. They don't thrive. And that's not the way God intended us to be. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to learn and to love and to heal and enrich the world by our presence. So if you're not shining in the way you want to be, then there's definitely a way past that, and that's what Ease and Grace Circle is all about. And I also have another program that I'm sharing with Becky Swanson of lumenshine.com, and it's Autumn's Awakening. And that's also an online program that starts in a couple weeks, which is really exciting. And it's a 4-week program, lots of juicy goodness in there. So I encourage you to you readers to check that out.
Wonderful, wonderful. Again, thank you so much for being here. And we'll talk again soon.
Yeah.
All right.
Pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.